A few years ago, in the last term of my undergrad, I worked on a stats project where we analyzed Netflix watch behavior. We tested three different variables, and the goal of the project was very simple: find the one variable that matters the most and optimize that. What surprised me was that even though all variables could potentially matter, there was only one which had a statistically significant effect. Everything else at that point was considered noise. This project changed how I approach money. Because thinking like a data analyst teaches you one thing: don't start optimizing everything at once. Start with what matters the most. Personal finance works exactly the same way. Most personal finance advice revolves around the same concepts: budget more, invest early, cut lattes, pay debt. That's like telling Netflix to fix everything at once. A data-driven approach, however, asks a different question. What is my highest impact variable? Because the thing holding you back might be completely different from somebody else. So I decided to apply this thinking to my own finances. When I moved to Toronto last year, my spending changed massively. I had budgeted for the rent increase, also knowing that the lower transportation costs would balance things out, which it did, but something wasn't making sense. When I tracked my spending and visualized it in Excel, I noticed that a huge chunk was going towards eating out. I was eating out almost every day for all meals without realizing it. Now, that was my highest impact variable, but I got curious. What does the data say for most Canadians? What is the most common financial leak that people aren't fixing? And I'm sure you've guessed it. Over half of Canadian adults carry credit card debts at 20 to 26%. That is a lot. Even a modest balance of $3,000 at 20% interest is costing you $600 per year. That is $600 going nowhere. It's buying you nothing, but it is leaving your wallet. 66% of Canadians say that nothing is left after monthly expenses, and 2/3 of us don't even know where the money is going, but we feel broke. The paradox is that people are still trying to invest while this interest leak is quietly running in the background. It's like we ran the Netflix analysis, found the one variable that mattered the most, dumped it, and then tried to fix everything else. So why do people ignore the numbers and keep investing anyway? FOMO, fear of missing out. Half of Gen Z admits that their investments are driven by FOMO. They see friends posting about stocks, influencers talking about crypto, and they feel like they're falling behind. The problem is that paying off debt feels slow and invisible. You're watching a number go down. Investing shows you growth in real time. You can screenshot it, you can share it. It feels productive. Even though paying off debt at 20% is a guaranteed 20% return, something almost no investment can offer you without massive risk, it doesn't give you the dopamine hit of "I'm building wealth." And this is why data matters. When you remove the emotion out of things, which is not fully possible when it comes to finances, but still can be done to some extent, and you look at just the numbers, the right decision becomes obvious. Think about it this way. Imagine you have a jar that you're trying to fill with water. You're pouring water from the top, saving, investing, building wealth, but there's a massive hole at the bottom. The water is running out faster than you can fill it. That hole is high interest debt. If you carry credit card debt at 20% interest, it doesn't matter how much you save at 5% or how well your investments are doing. The leak is bigger than the pour. You don't have a saving problem, you have a hole. From a pure data perspective, paying off 20% debt is a guaranteed 20% return. So how do you actually do this for yourself? Step 1 is to track everything for 30 days. No judgment, you're just collecting data. Pull up your bank and credit card statements and note down every transaction that you made in that month. And then group your spending into categories: rent, groceries, utilities, eating out, entertainment, subscriptions, debt payments. Then create one simple chart. Just visualize where your money is going. And then look at that chart and ask yourself which categories are taking up the most space. Attack that first. If, for example, 40% of your spending is towards eating out, try to improve on that first. If you're paying $1,000 in credit card statements every year, fix that before investing. Find your Netflix variable. Then repeat. Just like data analysis, money management is iterative. You track, You analyze and you adjust. This approach really worked for me because it removed the emotion to some extent and replaced it with clarity. So instead of me thinking, what should I be doing? I started asking, what is actually driving my outcome? And instead of feeling overwhelmed by all the things that you should be doing, you start doing the one thing that you know will fix the problem. This is how money decisions can finally start to feel manageable instead of chaotic, and it's how analysts think. If you liked any part of this video, I would love it if you can subscribe so you can see me again. And if you're curious about my spending in Toronto, you can watch the video right here. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I'll see you next time.